What's up, everybody? Joining me today is my best friend and co-host, Bryce DeWitt.
Hello, my good chap.
And joining us for the very first time on the show is Tom the Robot.
Hello, Drew and Bryce. Thank you for having me on your program.
No worries at all, Tom. Now, just to introduce yourself, what do you do and what is your favourite Nintendo game?
Wow, okay, this is hard. So I work as a security robot in the future for a corporation I will not speak of here. It's a hard job, but it's also rewarding. As for Nintendo games, I really don't like them. I have just come onto your podcast to spread my message of world domination to your wonderful listening audience.
Drew, do you think bringing a robot from the future on the show was a good idea?
At the time, it seemed like a good idea. But with all the talk about world domination, it all seems a bit odd. Let's just see where this goes.
Alright.
Also, boys, Super Smash Bros. Is a bad game made for silly billies. That makes the two of you the silliest of billies.
That's it, we're bringing on Stealth. I've always loved following him on Twitter to hear his thoughts on the world of Nintendo, and this is a perfect time to sit down and have a chat with him.
Hit the eject button.
No.
Coming up next, Stealth 40k. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the award-winning Nintendo podcast on the 8-Bit Collective, and the doors to episode 87 are open. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and joining me as always is my co-host, Bryce DeWitt.
He nailed it. He nailed the intro in one take.
Absolutely. And joining us for the very first time on the show is Stealth 40k. How we going, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
No worries. Just for those who don't know you in the Nintendo community, whether it's on Twitter or elsewhere, just introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. So, primarily people would know me from Twitter, where I just talk about Nintendo and JRPGs, and I also do a lot of guest spots on different podcasts and YouTube channels around the internet. And I'm very happy to be on.
Awesome. You're in your Twitter bio, it says global market researcher. So that's your day job. Is that outside the video game industry, or is that sort of merge inside the video game industry?
Generally, it's outside the video game industry, but sometimes I have clients inside the game industry. But that's a little bit more rare.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because you've always got big opinions on Nintendo games and all of that. I was just wondering if that sort of leaked into it.
Unfortunately not. It would be great if Nintendo hired me to do some work for them.
Absolutely. And this is just a question I always ask the guests as well, to sort of know a bit more about their gaming tastes. What is your favourite Nintendo game? I know that's sort of a big question to ask, but just off the top of your head, what would be one of your favourites?
Well, honestly, in the last couple of years, I'd have to say Xenoblade 2 on Switch has been one of my favorite Nintendo games. It really has.
Yep.
Which actually says a lot about me, actually.
It's okay. It's one of my favourite games on that console. Absolutely love it to death.
Yeah. I might have guessed that just by looking at your Twitter feed. You're always talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's one of Bryce's favourite games. He's always talking about it, and it's one of those games where I'm like, it's a bit like Persona 5. I keep on putting it off because I know how long it is, and
it's an extremely long game.
Yeah, I really love it. I love the look of it, and I've played about maybe 2 hours, but then I know how much time I've got ahead of me, and I'm thinking about all the new stuff coming out. And what draws you to it? Is it sort of the story, or just you love that sort of turn-based type of gameplay?
Yeah, the story was great. The gameplay I find really quite addicting. I've replayed the game twice now, and the second replay I saw things that I never even saw in the first play, and I put 150 hours into it the first time. So it's a game where, there's just a ton to see.
Yeah, you definitely get your money's worth. Bryce, what would be one of your favourite things about Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
The thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that a lot of people didn't get on launch was the combat's a lot more intricate than it seems at first. A lot of people sort of just go into battle, hit A, and then let them do the auto attacking. But then there's auto attack cancelling. You've got orb combos, stacking up orbs for a chain attack to unleash full combos and stuff like that. Like, there's just... And the amount of customizability when you get to the end game goes far and beyond what you want it to. You can get units up to a point where you can solo the super boss, for example, with just one character and one blade. and just like completely destroy the game. And it's I didn't discover Xenoblade until really late on, closer to the release of Xenoblade 2, and I really enjoyed the first one, and I feel like this one added onto it. The story might not be as good, but the gameplay is a lot better, in my opinion. But in saying that, I just want to clarify. You could spend 80 hours on a Pokemon game, but you can't spend 80 hours on a new JRPG.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is just one of those things where I'm like, I will find the time if I really enjoy it.
I think it's just you and JRPGs, man.
Just me and JRPG. You reckon I'm allergic? You reckon that's
I think you make yourself allergic. I think you really need to dive in.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset. I know. It's just like you're sort of scared to jump in. Then like something like Pokemon comes out, I'm like, yes.
I'll put 80 hours into that. How many
like,
hours did you put into Let's Go?
About that.
Yeah, Jesus.
And that's only Let's Go as well.
Yeah, that's like the third or fourth time you played Kanto fresh.
Yeah, I love Kanto. Actually, just going off of Pokemon, Stealth, Pokemon Sword and Shield were announced a couple of weeks back, and there's been a few rumors going around on was it Reddit that someone guessed Pokemon Sword and Shield the name, and they also guessed another couple of things, including Armored Evolutions, which has been trademarked by Nintendo a couple of days ago. So it does look like these Armored Evolutions are going to be legit, going to be real. Just going between you guys, what do you think the Armored Evolutions might look like in Sun and Moon? Oh, not Sun and Moon. Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I think they probably will be more like Mega Evolutions in, X and Y, where, you can go to like a stage 4 kind of thing. And, I think hopefully they'll look really awesome. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Like, in the art, it shows Charizard from... What's the other... what's that mod for Brawl called again, Bryce? Just remind me.
Other M.
Yeah.
Not Other M.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say
M.
too. Yeah, Project M. It's just like the art from that. It'd be interesting to see, like, if these Armored Evolutions, whether they... Like, at the moment, they're being represented just like... They've got armor on from like medieval times, so it would be interesting to see if they like what they actually turn into. Thinking back to Mega Evolutions, I think it's really cool that they're able to redesign Pokemon and that, but it kind of, I think it sort of not really complicates it, but sort of adds a bit too much to the Pokemon battling system. I feel like it's just because there's a lot of Pokemon that miss out on these evolutions, so they sort of in some ways become a bit unusable, but. What do you guys think about it?
I don't really know. The problem with having evolutions per se is that they already ditched Mega Evolutions in favor for Z moves. Like that's something they tried to do.
Yeah.
It's honestly kind of frustrating that they're gonna go ahead and make another one, and then you have to consider the rule sets if you're ever playing competitive again, and it's just like, oh, you can have one Mega Evolution, one armored Pokemon, and one Z move on your team or some shit. Like it's just it's too much in the same barrel sort of thing. I think they just should have just stuck with Mega Evolutions. I don't have a problem with Mega Evolutions in general. I just think it's silly to make several different kinds that sort of intermingle in a battle. It's getting a bit too much. I mean, I already have semi-medium expectations for this game anyway. Like, I'm really excited, but considering how Sun and Moon turned out, at least for us, I want it to be great, but hearing something like that kind of just makes me go, oh god, what's that going to do to the game?
It'll be interesting to see if they keep Mega Evolutions and Z moves and Armored Evolutions. I think they'll get rid of the other two, you would think.
Well, they can't get rid of them now. They have to keep them. But it's just kind of a case of how many of which you're allowed on the team and all that. Yeah,
Stealth, what did you think of Sun and Moon? Like, just to catch you up on us two, we were sort of disappointed just in the like sort of the exploration aspect of the games and like the post game, how it was a bit lackluster. What did you think about those ones?
Yeah, I actually did like the games a lot, but I'm a pretty big fan of this series, so it'd be hard to not make a game that I wouldn't like. But I felt like a lot of the problems in Sun and Moon were kind of taken care of in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and then those are some of my favorite Pokemon games ever. So my problems with Sun and Moon were honestly more about some of the Pokemon design type choices than anything else.
Oh yeah. Like, what Pokemon stands out to you that would sort of bother you?
Well, it's not one Pokemon in particular, but there weren't a lot of, like, I'm a big fan of, like, the 3 evolution Pokemon. I don't really use Pokemon that are just 1 evolution, or even 2. And, there weren't a lot of those. And, I'm a big dragon Pokemon kind of guy, and I didn't find... I think there was one that I really liked. And honestly, there weren't many dragon Pokemon at all, so...
Yeah. Oh, there was a Alolan Exeggutor. He was cool.
Yeah, well, I don't use him.
Yeah. He's such a weird dragon. Like, how is he a dragon? I guess he would look like a dragon if you put like a dragon head. He's got the big long neck and everything, but...
That's alright, they need to introduce giraffe type. And then we can fit him right in. All right.
Giraffe type. What would be super effective against giraffe type?
Oh, God, I don't know. Rock.
Fair enough. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what these things turn into. It's a bit hard to sort of speculate just off the name alone, but I assume it's going to be something similar to just Mega Evolution, where it changes the form and their stats essentially just go up. But moving on to just Pokemon Sword and Shield in general, what did you think of the reveal a couple of weeks ago? Were you happy with what you saw?
Yeah, I got more than I expected out of the reveal because, for X and Y, I think it was around like a 7-minute direct as well, but they spent 6 minutes of it in this like historical look back at Pokemon, and then like 30 seconds of it was the new Pokemon and the name. I don't even think they showed gameplay. So I was pretty happy that they had a pretty in-depth trailer. They showed the starter Pokemon, they had the names. So I actually think it was rather successful. And, I really like the look of the region. I think it's cool. And I also like how some of, the cooler cities are sort of at the top of the map, so you kind of have to get to them. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the look of the countryside too, like the English countryside. I'm actually playing a lot of, I just started playing a lot of Forza Horizon 4 on Xbox, and that's based in the UK as well. And it's got like a very... very similar look, just like the beautiful country landscape. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to these games. It's going to be, like I said before, it's going to be a long wait until these come out, and can't wait. Bryce?
Yes.
Hello, sir. So, Square Enix is bringing Octopath Traveller, an Octopath Traveller sequel to iOS and Android.
Yeah, I saw that last night, yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be, obviously, Octopath Traveller has done well enough to get a new game. It's shifted 1.5 million copies on Switch, so... it's a franchise worth keeping an eye on for Square Enix, so now they're putting it onto iOS. Bryce, I know you played a lot of Octopath Traveller. I played a fair bit as well, and Stealth, I would imagine you absolutely smashed this game probably a few times.
Yeah, I played a lot of Octopath Traveller. I think I put like 300 hours into the game between a couple playthroughs.
Yep.
Yeah, I really, really loved it. And yeah, if they didn't announce like a console game with this mobile game, which doesn't look great, honestly, I kind of wish they did like a $15 kind of DLC thing for the original game. I would have been annoyed.
I don't know whether this is going to be a paid game or like a free-to-play game, but I think the game can work fine on mobile. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more better for us and the audience for listeners to this to have it on Switch, and you can put it on your massive TV and you can just take it off and grind on the couch while playing something else. But it'll be it'll be good to see this franchise sort of thrive, and hopefully it gets into more hands of people who might not own a Switch, and the series can continue from there, because Square Enix going back to these sort of old school RPGs is really good to see. For a long time, they didn't really do it that often. Now they're going back. They've got the RPG Factory team churning out these games, and they've got this team making these games, which was a big success on Switch. So
it's actually a good question for you, Stealth. Just sort of riding on it, because obviously I'm big on the JRPGs as well. I love seeing them on Switch. I love putting like an endless amount of hours into them. JRPGs is probably what takes up most of my time. But in the case of Nintendo moving to the mobile market with Octopath Traveller, that kind of makes 3 sort of Japanese RPG type games on the mobile platform from Nintendo, being Dragalia Lost, Fire Emblem Heroes, and now Octopath Traveller as well. I'm a very big advocate for somebody that wants something a little more from Dragalia Lost on the Switch, just so it fleshes it out more, and sort of less being a new Nintendo IP, it's pretty critical for me to be sort of like, well, it's a new Nintendo IP, it's a JRPG, it should be right up my alley. And while I do like it, like, I would really want something like that on the Switch. Do you think that this will sort of become more of a norm now for Nintendo to start putting those sort of anime JRPG type games on their mobile platform, or do you think we'll see a return to them to the Switch? Because honestly, right now it feels like we're getting less on the actual console and sort of getting more focus on the mobile platform for those kind of games.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought. I'm not sure I necessarily agree that we're seeing more JRPGs on mobile than Switch, because Switch is
from
getting
Nintendo
a ton,
specifically.
But for Dragalia Lost, I think that's going to stay on mobile. I don't think that's going to come to Switch. And, I don't think we're going to see like a Mario RPG on mobile before we see one on Switch or new Xenoblade or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in the case of Fire Emblem, honestly, I think that was kind of I think that was more of like a case of like lightning striking, for them. I don't think even they expected it to be as successful as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly the console game like is the focus now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I really like Fire Emblem Heroes. I think it's got a really unique story, and the fact that they're updating it in sort of book type sequels, like they sort of did with Avatar: The Last Airbender sort of thing. I think that's really good for Fire Emblem because it's got sort of an ongoing counterpart. It's very simple, but I would love to see that game moved over to Switch, especially considering what happened with God, I can't even remember it now because I didn't play it. Pokemon Quest. That's it. Like, I'd love to see those games moved over to there, if just for the sake of availability. Like, I don't always want to play that kind of game on my mobile. I'd like to sort of just flick through it while my Switch is in handheld or something like that. I feel like Pokemon Quest obviously got it, so I'd like to see those games moved over just for the sake of having the collection. Because Pokemon Quest, I think, is the only one, and Super Mario 1, are the only two Nintendo games I don't play on the mobile platform, and Pokemon Quest is available on both. Would you want to see sort of move over these games onto Switch in some form, like they did with Pokemon Quest? Or
I mean, I wouldn't oppose it. I just probably wouldn't play them myself, honestly.
Which is fair. Like, I get that they're not for everyone, but I just think, like, with Dragalia, at least, it's a new Nintendo IP. I'd really like to see more of it, because the world and the story is sort of intriguing, and I'd hate to see that IP just sort of get lost to the mobile sphere, especially with the problems it's had with country availability in the last 6 months. It's only sort of just come to Australia, and I've been smashing it out since then. I've been really enjoying it, but I'd love to not have to rely on my mobile phone, which I use for literally everything else, to play the game.
Yeah, because like with Pokemon Quest, I wouldn't have played it if it didn't come to Switch.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If it was just on mobile, I would be like, oh yeah, whatever. But at the time, it was like a great game just to sort of pick up and just put on my second monitor, have like my Pokemon just doing whatever they're doing, and I'm like on the computer maybe editing something or whatever it might be. It was like a great sort of just little bit of a distraction. Whereas on my phone, if it's just on my phone and like I've got to do other things, like I might be listening to a podcast or on social media, like whatever it might be, it just wouldn't have happened for me. So I was glad it came to Switch. So I see what you mean, Bryce, where you're like Dragalia Lost would be great on Switch because, then you've got your phone free, essentially.
Yeah.
Like having a dedicated gaming machine is great for not wasting your phone battery and having it free for like a phone call to come through or whatever it might be.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, if I'm out and about and I want to play Dragalia Lost sort of thing, I know that I have to rely on my mobile phone. Yeah. So it'd be great that I wouldn't have to like sit at home, waste my battery, or keep my phone on charge 24/7 until I have to go out and then hope that my battery survives the day. I could just play it on my Switch. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we'll move on to a fairly big news story that came out last week. So a new Nintendo Labo kit has come out, or has been announced, and it's a Labo VR. And everyone on the internet, got on their high horse and said, "Oh, this is going to be an awful experience having this third
bud attached to your face."
Yeah, this 720p screen right up to your face. It's going to kill our children. You're going to be putting your eyes into a bird's bum and all of this stuff. But I was just wondering, like, what your initial impressions were, Stealth? Whether you think this is a good move for Nintendo to sort of try and not get into the VR scene, but sort of have it represented in a little way, or if you think this is a wrong move.
I mean, I don't think it's kind of good or bad yet. It's kind of remained to be seen. I've never been a huge fan of Labo, although I do see its importance and kind of like benefit in that kind of edutainment space, where they can get into schools with this kind of stuff and make VR a little bit more accessible, maybe teach people about it. And the fact that the kit's only $40, which I believe is $20 less than the original kits were, It'll be interesting. It's not something I'm interested in, but it won't hurt.
Yeah, like I wasn't interested in the first Labo kit, but I was like, oh, I want to be able to talk about it on the podcast, so I actually went and bought a kit, and they're pretty expensive over here. They're $100 for the initial variety pack, and I think I built like the little bug that vibrates around the table, and I didn't have it in me to like build the rest because I don't have kids or anything like that. Like, so it's just purely for my enjoyment. So after that, I'm like, all right, so Labo isn't a thing that is going to be really talked about on this podcast unless Bryce's kids get into it when they're a bit older. Then he can talk about folding up the cardboard and strapping his Switch to his eyes and all that. But I think it's a fun idea. Like a lot of people are poo-pooing it that like, the specs aren't there and like compared to PlayStation VR and all that. And I think it's just ridiculous if you're comparing this to like an actual headset. It's just comes across really silly to me.
It's not like Google Cardboard hasn't been done before.
Exactly. Like this isn't the first cardboard VR.
No.
And like a lot of contention is the screen that it's 720p. And like, yes, that is going to look pretty ordinary up to your face, but at the end of the day, this is just a little toy for kids to play with, and hopefully the cardboard doesn't fall off their face and smash your Switch. But I guess that's another problem.
Don't get me wrong. I still think it's kind of silly in a way that I know that it's not meant for my age group as well. But I feel like Labo is that type of thing where as time goes on, it's going to lose its sort of reach with children. You can introduce these VR headsets now. Parents aren't going to want to strap them to their kids' heads, so what are your audiences then? You got older people that are really into cardboard for whatever reason.
Just into cardboard in general, just love it.
I just love cardboard.
Hey, there are people out there that love scrapbooking, love all this creative stuff, so that's not such a weird thing.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's not. You're perfectly allowed to go ahead and enjoy your cardboard the way you want to enjoy your cardboard, but
we're not cardboards here.
I don't know how far they're going to go with the like compatibility of these VR Labo, or whether that's just going to be restricted to certain games like it was with most of the rest of the Labo kit, unless you were playing Mario Kart with a steering wheel, a cardboard steering wheel. Yeah, I don't know. And the bird butt thing, yeah.
Actually, I think that's really funny.
It's funny, but God, it's weird.
I don't know what the game's going to be. You're just like looking at, because like you've got the elephant, right? And that's going to be the perspective of an elephant. You're controlling the trunk. You might be grabbing apples from a tree. You've got the gun. You're looking down the scope. You've got these. You can imagine what the actual view would be. What is the view from the bird? It is just going to be feathers, like.
I have no friggin' idea. I think whatever game they've got planned for that one is probably going to be the wackiest of the lot, and yeah, I think I'll give it a pass.
So, Stealth, you don't reckon you're going to be putting your 300 hours into the Labo VR kit?
Probably not.
Probably not. All right, let's move on from Labo. So, this was yesterday at the time of recording for us in Australia, but Stealth, today is Mario Day in the US. So, I'll just like to take the opportunity to sort of talk about our favourite Mario games, just quickly. So, Bryce, we'll start with you. What's your favourite Mario game? Whether it's doesn't matter, sort of whether it's a main game, 2D, 3D. What's the first 3D Mario, or what's the first Mario game that comes to your mind?
Two come to my mind, and that's either Super Mario World or Super Mario Galaxy 1.
Yep.
I enjoyed both immensely. I went through and 100% of them both. Those are the two Mario games I was 100% happy and never got bored 100%ing. The only thing that got frustrating, I guess, in Mario Galaxy was the comets. Some of them were kind of annoying, but it also never want to play Galaxy 2. For whatever reason.
Yeah,
if I had to pick one of the two, though, probably World. World is like, there's a lot of memories in World for me, and I think it's one of the better designed Mario games. A lot of people talk about, Super Mario Bros. 3 is the best one, and you know what, you're entitled to your opinion, but I honestly think World has some of the greatest atmosphere in a 2D game, and I think some of the worlds are really cleverly designed, and some of the stuff that's hidden in World as well, like the secret hill behind the Boo House and the second part of Donut Plains, like that.
Yeah.
You know, finding stuff like that when you're young, that's nuts. Like, that's not something I researched on the internet. It's something I found, and I was like, oh my god, that's a thing.
I remember the Star World absolutely blowing my mind.
Yeah.
when we first found it, it was just, it was awesome. And finding all the secrets, like Mario Bros 3, that started it. That gave us the world map and everything. But Mario World really just blew it out the park. Like put secrets in there, and just even like when you left like the normal terrain on the world map and you went down the cave and like, oh my god, we're in a different area, and like the actual levels look completely different.
Yep.
And it wasn't just because you moved from World 1 to World 2 where you just expected it. It's really cool.
And unlocking different abilities with different current Yoshis, color Yoshis rather, something like that was also mind-blowing as well, knowing that I could have a Yoshi that could just make an earthquake under its butt, or it was all good times.
And that's something that never come back either in the 2D games.
It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got the baby Yoshis, I guess, in the new Super Mario Bros. Series that sort of do things.
Sort of, yeah.
Like the bubble blowing one and all that. But
yeah. So, Stealth, what about you? What's your favourite Mario game, if you have to choose one?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many, but the one that, always comes to my head first is probably Super Mario World for the SNES. That's always my favorite.
Yeah, nice. What would be your reason for choosing that one over the hundreds of other Mario games? Does that one have a certain place in your heart, or?
Yeah, I mean, I love the sprite work. It's probably my favorite look. The levels are challenging. There's a lot of secrets. I just think it's a perfect game.
Yeah. Absolutely, like that's one of the games where like a lot of you can sort of see the inspiration in some current indie pixel artwork games. It's so timeless.
I mean, the thing is with Super Mario World sprites as well too, though, is like like I said before, a lot of people sort of go on about Super Mario 3 being the best 2D Mario, but you look back to the days when we used to get on Newgrounds, or people used to be making content on YouTube and stuff like
exactly.
that. They would use Mario World sprites. They were beautiful. They were beautiful sprites. It was fantastic.
Especially like now in 2019, we still look back at it and go, what a nice looking game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And a fun game with like beautiful visuals and everything.
And weird glitches that allow you to complete the game in 42 seconds.
Yeah. For me, I usually get hung up between Galaxy 2 and Super Mario 64, but I think like just for like nostalgia purposes, 64 still wins over Galaxy 2 for me. This was back when I didn't own a 64. I went to my friend Adam's place all the time, and there was a bit there where I'll come through the door and be like, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, good." And we're like, "Oh, what do you want to do? Do you want to play some games? Do you want to go on the trampoline?" I'll be like, "Oh, nah, can we play Mario?" So, we go into his bedroom and we play Mario, and I'm just there like trying to collect the coins, and it was probably really annoying actually for him. He was like, "Oh, you want to do something else?" Like, no, I want to play Mario, and he would have probably finished it a couple of times. He's like, "All right, I'm sick of this goddamn game." I was like, no, I want to keep playing. And then this was around the time, maybe a year before the DS came out, and then when I got my DS and got to play, have my own copy on the DS, Super Mario 64 DS, and be able to play it that way, it was really cool. Just thinking, all of the worlds and the levels in it are so iconic. Like, just Bob on Battlefield is one of the levels where I'm like, this is such a fun sandbox to be in and just jump around. A lot of the other 3D Mario games didn't really do that as much. Maybe Sunshine did, and obviously Odyssey now, like, it's just that game is designed to be a playground, but going back to the Galaxy games, that was very linear. It wasn't much of a sandbox and things to do. So I absolutely love that game. Bryce, what memories did you have of Mario 64?
Oh god, too many to count for that one.
At least 6.
The thing with Mario 64, it was the first Mario game I'd ever personally owned. Nintendo 64 being the first console I ever owned. I would spend hours on that game, and this is the case with a lot of games like Banjo-Kazooie, where I would spend a hell of a lot of the time just playing the game but never actually finishing it, just for the fun of it, I guess. When video games were that simple, where you could just sort of have fun and not, have to finish it to be satisfied, but, that's not like that.
Yeah, put it on just to be in the world rather than aiming to finish it for a story or whatever, Yeah,
absolutely. And like Mario 64 had one of the best worlds for that sort of thing. There was so much variety in Mario 64 in the landscapes. The bosses, not so much. They never really changed that much.
Yeah. Throw Bowser into the bomb, then throw Bowser into the bit further into the bomb.
And then throw Bowser into 3 bombs.
Yeah.
I don't know, there was just something about Mario 64 that always kept me playing, regardless of the fact of whether I'd I'd gotten close to the end or finished it or whatever, I would just go back and play Mario 64 just to, have fun. Especially as a kid, like I said, when I was 5, I didn't really understand my pure objective goal. I mean, I knew I had to collect stars. I didn't know how many I had to collect. I didn't know where they were. Nowadays, if you give me the star name, I'll probably find it in a click.
Yeah.
But overall, it definitely is one of my favorite Mario games. I don't think it's one of the best designed though, and that's one of the reasons it's holding back a bit when it comes to my list.
Like one of the first 3D games, like back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have hoped the 3D Marios have sort of advanced and learnt more and become like more intricate in its design. But yeah, it's just like mainly the nostalgia and like the music and everything, like they just nailed for it.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yeah,
and we've got a little bit of time left, so we may as well just do our favourite Mario spin-off games. So, Stealth, we'll start with you. What would be one of your favourite spin-off games?
I'm a big fan of the Mario RPG games, and my favorite one of those is Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. The writing is, I think, one of the best jobs that Intelligent Systems has ever done. It looks amazing. The gameplay is really good. There's a lot to do. It has the whole package.
Yeah, for sure. Like those Mario RPGs, just the writing is just phenomenal. Like it makes the game, honestly.
Yeah.
Just in sort of the more recent RPGs, they've sort of most of the characters are toads rather than sort of original characters. But
yeah, they are. God, I never noticed that until you've said it just now.
Yeah, like
oh God.
For some reason, it's just everything's a toad.
That's annoying.
Yeah. Sorry, did I just wreck the whole series for you? Like, oh my God, everyone is a toad. Oh.
Yeah, pretty much. No, because one of the main draws to those games was the original characters, and I played Sticker Star.
Oh yeah.
And I know that a lot of people had the complaints with that, and I'm kind of just like, it's not awful, but now that I think about it, yeah, there's not a lot going on there with characters wise. It kind of leaves it uncharacteristic just having toads everywhere.
Stealth, how do you feel about the sort of the direction the Paper Mario series has gone in? Like a lot of people don't like the sort of the less turn-based combat, so they've got emphasis on stickers and cards and that in the last couple. Are you one of the people that I really want them to sort of go back to those roots?
I mean, I've enjoyed the newer games. Obviously, I like the older ones more, and yeah, I mean, I would when they do a new one for Switch, I almost said if. It's really a when, because obviously they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I would like to see it as more of an RPG.
I would too. Like I played Stick Star, but after that I wasn't interested in Color Splash just for what I heard and just looking at it and just exploring the world and being in that world, reading the writing and everything. I love that, but sort of the progression and the sort of combat is what sort of put me off. But yeah, I would love to see them go back to stuff like Thousand Year Door and everything on Switch. It'd be awesome.
I would love to see Thousand Year Door on Switch. Mainly because I haven't finished it, but at the same time because it is hailed as one of the best Mario RPGs. And I mean, if they can go back and remaster a bunch of Zeldas, there's no reason that they can't do it for Mario a couple times.
Yep.
I think, obviously, when it comes to me, as you would probably know, that I wouldn't pick them over the other Mario RPG series simply because I love Superstar Saga and I played a lot of Legend of the Seven Stars.
Yeah.
But Paper Mario is very important to their little RPG economy because of the uniqueness of it, without a doubt. And it would just be good to see, because obviously a lot of people weren't too happy with Splash and Sticker. It would just be good to see Paper Mario fans get something, even if it's just something that they know, done up and just sort of brought into a new era, make it look, nice and clean.
Yeah.
Maybe add some extra things to it. I would love to see Thousand Year Door come to Switch in that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So, Bryce, just quickly, what is your favourite Mario spin-off game?
Look, it's either Mario Kart or Mario RPGs. I can't put Smash in the same bracket because it's more of a crossover game.
Yeah.
But Mario Kart obviously has a lot of general hold on me ever since I was a kid. I'm very critical of every new Mario Kart that comes out, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes I drop that criticism just going, I'm having fun. Or, how things change. Gliders still suck, Drew. You can hold that one to your grave. I'm never going to change my mind on gliders.
Look, I'm not going to die on gliders. I just think they're fine. I'm not like, oh my God, they revolutionized the series. They're fantastic, but they're fine. They're fine.
No, they're not fun.
Okay.
And Superstar Saga, especially was such a iconic RPG for me, just because of how wacky it was.
Definitely wacky, yeah.
It's wacky as anything. And I mean, playing that prompted me to play Legend of the Seven Stars, and Legend of the Seven Stars, as odd as Legend of the Seven Stars looks at times, it is a fantastic RPG with a lot going for it. You know, there's a lot of mini games in that game, whether it be running down a river or rolling down a mountain. You know,
Yeah.
just a whole bunch of mini games and references too. You know, there's Samus and Link sleeping in a bed there in a hotel, and you try to talk to them, and not much happens. But
yeah.
And I also think Partners in Time probably lumps in as well, like as really good. I'd heard pretty average things going on later on in the series, but for those 3 games at least in that line, they were definitely some of my favourite Mario spin-off games. Mario Hoops 3-on-3, just for the fact that I had a fun time with it, and I could get random Final Fantasy characters like Cactuar for no reason.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
What else?
I reckon...
Strikers as well. There you go.
I love
That's
Strikers
my list.
too. My favourite would be Mario Kart. I've grown up with it, loved it, playing multiplayer, and it'd be one of those games where I just don't get sick of it as well. I just keep playing it and playing it and playing it. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is evolved into the point where it's just awesome. I don't have much bad things to say about that game apart from I want more courses. Some more DLC would be good.
Yeah.
But Stealth, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I know you're a busy man and you've got to go, so I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you if they want to sort of hear more from you?
They can find me on Twitter at Stealth40k, and I just wanted to say thanks for having me on, and this was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit rushed just because of time commitments and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll see you around the Twitters.
Thanks for having me on again, guys.
No worries.
Bye.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the House of Mario, episode 87. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe on your podcast service of choice and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, I am at iDrewby, Bryce is at IVRevan, and the show is at the House of Mario. If you'd like to talk with us in our Discord community, there is an invite in the show notes below. And of course, we are a part of the 8-Bit Collective. 10 plus Australian podcasts and now one American one, bringing you awesome audio content to your ears. And this week's Nintendo Jukebox is Little Ghost by rymdcraft. Until next week, catch you later.
Those House of Mario boys better watch out. I will get my revenge and make them look like the silliest of billies.